So it's not a process. It's not a set of techniques. It's not a certification. It's really a community of professionals that deeply believe in creativity and play.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody. Super thrilled to welcome you all. My name is Mark Dodsworth. I'm the International Director of Actitude Creativa, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by my partner and the founder of Actitude Creativa and the designer behind the Pro.Play methodology, Juan Prego. Juan, how are you doing today?
Hi, Mark. I'm happy and super excited to be here sharing in our first English webinar.
Yeah, absolutely. And so hot off the heels of the launch in Spanish and Portuguese, we're really excited to welcome you. We know that we've got people from the East, the West, the North, and the South. And it's really, today's purpose is really about exploring the power of play and what a crazy time it is globally for us to need to tap into our imagination and vision new ways forward. So Juan and I are really thrilled to have an opportunity to explore a little bit of the methodologies behind the process and, of course, look at the various applications for this exciting new toolkit. So before we kick off, I just thought I'd jump in and say I'm an absolute crazy fanatic about the power of play. It's really been the cornerstone in my own career, and nearly 30 years of using the power of play in working in organizations globally. So I feel like I have got a strong passion, but a kind of connection to how this tool and this method has such an importance right now when we're really charged with the responsibility to inspire imagination and creativity globally. And that's where Juan and I met. In fact, 2014, right, Juan, in South Africa at the International Creativity Conference, we were both there presenting. That's where we first met, and we quickly fell in love with each other's kind of minds and approach to releasing possibility and potential in organizations globally. So a little bit about Actitude Creativa. It's a company that was founded in 2008, and the mission that help bring creativity alive. Of course, many of you here are going to be fans of innovation, tools and methods, and it won't be news to you that the World Economic Forum has stated that creativity in the top 10 skills actually predicted to be needed in 2025, 5 of the top 10 really fall into the place of imagination, creative problem solving, critical thinking, systems thinking. And all of this is enabled to become a little bit more malleable, a little bit more accessible with a process like Pro.Play. Of course, Pro.Play sits on our CCP, which is the Creativity Certification Program. And that's the platform that we use in Actitude Creativa to grow the global network. We've got over 5,000 trained creativity collaborators and colleagues, all charged with wanting to change the world with creativity, which really underpins why we do what we do. So allow me now to introduce you to Juan. If you haven't met him before, I'm really happy to introduce him, not because he's just a good guy, but because this guy's got a brain that never stops to impress me. Juan, I really learned a lot working with you over the last 6-7 years, and I'm really excited that you've put your focus and your vision into trying to basically make creativity more accessible. And today we're also going to be talking about the Play Like a Pro book, which Juan's also wrote to kind of accompany the methodology, but also to gain more accessibility, even for those people that perhaps can't afford the course. We want to make sure that this methodology is there to inspire more people to play with purpose. And so that's a little bit about the CCP. Juan is an author. He's written many books on creativity. He's also worked globally in many organizations. And with Actitude Creativa and the CCP, we have a varying and growing stable of courses and trainings and methodologies, including the advanced creative problem solving. We've also got a process in creative facilitation that translated into virtual facilitation. We have the creativity toolkit, and now we have our newest baby, the Pro.Play methodology. So on that note, Juan, over to you. I'm really excited to have an opportunity for us to share this with a growing network. And let's kick off, my friend. How are you doing? And tell us a little bit maybe about where the journey with Pro.Play began for you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark, for the wonderful introduction. I want to welcome everybody that joined us today. We have people from Italy, from Portugal, from India, from Germany, from France. Well, the list is very long. So thank you, everybody that joined. And I hope that we can share a little bit about the amazing things that we are doing with Pro.Play for PLAYMOBIL Pro. And this journey started more than 20 years ago. I think that everybody that is a trainer or work at different companies with workshops, either as a participant or as a trainer, has used play in one form or the other, maybe with playing with the ball, or playing with the rope, or playing with the body, or playing in different ways. So play, it's a big part of what organizations use to engage their teams, to achieve results, et cetera, et cetera. So when in 2019 we learned about PLAYMOBIL developing a kit that it was specific for professionals, we started to gather the techniques that we have been using for the last 20 years in organizations to achieve results in different settings and with different problems. And what we realized is that on one hand, the number of techniques that we had was very, very big. And on the other hand, there was more needed than just a set of techniques to make the most of the kit. And that's what the professionals that we train in the creativity certification program started to ask. How do I make the most of the PLAYMOBIL Pro kit and not just copy and paste whatever I'm already doing with other toys or with other materials, and I do the same but with PLAYMOBIL? How can I make the most of this new tool? Because every new tool gives you the possibility to do new things and not just use it the same way you used it before. And that's where we started not only designing, but also testing with consultants, with directors, with different people, with coaches, with trainers, and getting their feedback to improve on the methodology that we successfully launched. And that also we are proudly the only official partner with the methodology of PLAYMOBIL Pro, thanks to the work that we have been doing.
And that's fantastic news, isn't it? We're so excited about that because I think it gives us an opportunity to push out into the market something that's new and does come with a deliberate methodology. So Juan, what I love about your approach to creativity is you walk the talk in terms of how you've developed Actitud Creativa and the different methods. And as I've learned how Pro.Play's been kind of brought to life in your imagination, this idea of putting it out into the network and getting feedback, what were the core learnings that you brought in from outside, from those that tried it, that informed a different approach? And what is that methodology that you think underpins this broader approach to the use of play?
Yes, I think it's an excellent question because most of what we do around creativity and innovation is more about the process and the principles than the techniques. There are an infinite number of techniques, and we have a huge number of techniques that we can do with Pro.Play and with other methodologies. But I think that today we have so many techniques that we have lost the foundations that allows us to successfully use those techniques, and we just sometimes go through the motions, or teams go through the motions, instead of understanding what they are doing, how it should be done, and why, especially why they are doing it that way. So we have worked with some very fundamental concepts that help spark imagination. And I think that one of the things that is most disruptive when we're using PLAYMOBIL Pro is the fact that you are doing live modeling and representations, that you are not doing it yourself like in a role play. You are doing 3D role play, and at the same time you're not just building a static thing but it's like a live prototype of life. So if you have a clear rule set and a process to make the most out of that and take learnings and new actions, then imagine the possibilities when you can prototype outcomes, you can prototype processes, you can prototype journeys, but you can do it in an interactive way. And also, besides the prototyping fact, the thing that sometimes teams struggle with is to share with other members what their vision is, or what their beliefs are, or how they see a situation. So using the modeling kit, the communication completely transforms because it becomes something tangible. So these abstract concepts become tangible. And I think that one of the things that also I really enjoy about using PlayMobil Pro with Pro.Play is that everything goes, it's really fast. So you get really deep in a really deep conversation. And sometimes it takes 15 minutes to get there, not 2 hours, not 4 hours of warming up and et cetera, et cetera, because play is such a magical instrument to use that helps you get to deep conversations really, really fast.
I love that one. And it makes me think about one of the most exciting things that I found in my work with play is just around, I guess, the psychological safety that's so important when you really want a team to be able to imagine and stretch their own thinking in the way of approaching challenges, right? And so just kind of playing around with the idea of what does a safe space mean to imagination? And this idea of moving into the third person, when you speak about that rapid approach to getting deeper into conversations that matter, I just kind of wonder where you think this can make the biggest impact in kind of corporate innovation and development.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think that there are a lot of times where organizations feel they are not ready to talk about emotional things. So what they do is that they put layers and layers and layers of logic on things that have an emotional root. We are emotional beings. We have logic. That is a very important part. We also have emotions, and we have reactions. So if you have a system of working with others that include everything, then the impact is so much more profound. Because emotions is what says to our brain, record this, remember this is important, right? When we are at the conference, then we record the phrase that when we're excited about what that person said, and we record that, or what's so it plays a very important part. So I think that understanding a whole picture instead of just the part of it that we are allowed to talk or is welcome in that team is very important. And the most important part of that is allows you to arrive to many more alternatives for a given for a given scenario. So we use it, for example, in coaching, but we use it to decide a strategy for a company for the next 3 years. So it's not just the emotions allow you just to talk about emotional things, but if we are not passionate about our vision and mission, where do you think that company will end up? So I think that is what I call a deep conversation. We talk about the whys and we talk about how we feel, but instead of just talking, we model it, and we don't feel attached to that. We feel that we have the power to change something that previously was the only option that we had as an individual or as a team.
Mm-hmm. So moving on from the idea of kind of creating community, I know that we're going to create a space for questions and answers. I forgot to mention that at the beginning. So if you do have questions, we'll be getting them towards the end of this hour roughly session. So please put them there and not in the chat group. And a little bit later, we'll also be introducing a special guest who's going to be telling us a little bit more about his experience as well. Juan, as we kind of go a bit further, in terms of the design, some of the questions that I've been getting as I've been pushing out into the English-speaking business world is what's the distinction between the levels? Because we've got 3 levels, right? And the first level, level 1, is this online edition. We've got dates at the end of July if you're interested. Can you tell us a little bit about what the distinctions are for those 3 levels, please?
Absolutely. Well, when we first launched Pro.Play in 2020, actually we had 25 people fly from all over the world to be trained in this methodology, and it was overbooked to the point that we had to open another date the week after that, and it was planned as a whole thing. The 3 levels were together. And I had there people that were very, very, they were very high level experts on corporate disciplines such as leadership, agile, and et cetera, et cetera. So one of the things that happened after the first day, just after the first day, one of them that wanted to become a trainer of the methodology approached me and said, there is so much content just on the first day that I think you should have a level that stops there because we have 3 more days of training, and I already feel like this is a lot. And I explain why we didn't design it that way, because I feel like the more you advance, the richer the interventions you can do are, and the richer the results you can have are also. So we kept it that way. But then the pandemic hit, and we started to think remotely. And we had a very important thing that we didn't want to break. That is, we want the experience of an online training to be as good or better than our physical training. So if we cannot achieve that, then we are not going to do it online. So the more we thought about it, and we talked with our teams, and we dedicated months to this question, we saw that it was impossible to maintain, with the current technology, it was impossible to maintain the quality of the training for everything we did. But it was possible for the first part, for that first day. So we decided to redesign that day in a way that could be taught online and not lose the freshness and the quality of interventions that it had. So now we divided the training in these 3 levels. In level 1, you learn how to use individual models, whether with on only one person or with a team. Then on level 2, you learn the principles of team modeling, when many people are working on one model at the same time. And then on level 3, we see complex modeling, where we also include things around systems and other theories that have been very impactful and have really provided the technical foundations of the methodology. And in the book, we have more than 90 references to different studies and books that we include in the method as the technical foundations of what we're doing. So these are the 3 levels, and what we're doing is the level 1 online. We just finished the Spanish version of the training, and we're doing the English version very soon. And I think that the feedback of the level 1 in Spanish was amazing. And actually, we're going to know a little bit more about that, I think, in a few minutes.
That's right. That's right. And in terms of the 3 kind of methods and then the 6 applications, can you give us a little insight into that? And I think when we have our guest speaker, we'll flesh that out a little bit more. But can you give us a teaser around the framing of that and how you put that together, please?
Yes. What we wanted was to provide immediate application realms to the participants. This does not mean that the method that we design can only be used in these areas, but we wanted to make it easy for participants to jump into an area of application and use it there. So we found that there were six areas where the skills that we were teaching could be applied immediately after the training. And so we teach applications for those 6 areas. And we also teach 3 different types of modeling, and we also teach a core process. So you have the principles that we teach, that is the foundations of everything we do, and we have 8 for each level, 8 for level 1, and then we have 8 for level 2 and 3. Then we teach the different types of modeling. We have literal models, metaphorical models, and fantastic models. Then we teach a set of techniques and where they can be applied within these 6 application areas that we have identified. And I think that is the important part. I will talk about the 6 areas in a second, but I think the most important part that we learn is that the areas of application for the techniques and the principles and the process that we teach are endless, because for every training, in every training, there are professionals that say, oh, I'm going to use it in this area, or I can apply this to this area. And there are always areas that we haven't thought of, but these techniques can be applied that when you learn the principles of how to manipulate them and tweak them and change them and still make them work. So that's why I think that the principles are more important than the techniques itself, because the techniques will change for every application that you do. So the 6 areas that we identify and we provide techniques during the trainings are creativity and design thinking, and specifically project management for business agility and team, the way the teams collaborate, education and workshops, strategy and human resources. That's the place that we're using this a lot. Coaching, therapy, and personal development, and corporate transformation, values, and culture. So these are the 6 main areas that are targeted during the training. But believe me when I say the professionals that come to the training have elaborated many more areas. And the good thing about creating a community of practice is that they are sharing their applications. They are sharing all these places where they are applying. They are sharing what they are doing, so all the community can be enriched. And in the book, we have 6 professionals that share different applications that they have been applying, so we can all learn of what everybody is doing in the community.
Absolutely. Thanks for that one. So maybe we'll take a moment now to invite and introduce Mario Villarejo. I'm trying to get that right pronunciation of the V for the B in Spanish. Mario, welcome to our webinar. We're so happy that you could join us. I'm very jealous of the t-shirt, but Juan has promised me one next time I'm to Spain. So that's great. Mario, I know that you've recently been certified in level 1. Could you perhaps share with those that have joined us today, what was most surprising for you in the methodology, and what might anybody expect to experience if they were to sign up for the level 1?
Thank you, Mark. So I'd like to start by stating something very, very obvious, which is we start the training program by playing. And that is really important because we condition the body for the learning that is coming ahead, and starting something with a smile on the face is very important. So that was for me the first thing when we started, and we started modeling and playing and smiling. Everything comes very simple. But I like to state probably three of the main takeaways that I have gathered from this training, which is, first of all, it's an experiential learning. So we are constantly touching, modeling, changing, creating variations, creating alternatives. I think that is very important. So it's not only about the concept and what is behind that is very solid, and the foundation is very solid. And of course, there is some theory behind. But the most important is, what are we making sense of all of this? And we're making sense by observing, by getting the insight, and always by translating into actions. The second point that it was, and that's something that is complex to explain, so probably you, Juan, can help me, I don't know, is really what I call the transformative learning. We are always trying to equip ourselves with new tools, with new knowledge, with new methodologies, and that is perfectly fine and is necessary. But also it's really important to update the internal operational systems on how we make sense to what we do and what we see. So for me, that was a revelation, because through the modeling, we are able to print the operational system or the mental model. So once we see how I think about a complex problem, I'm able to see the way I think about it. And that is extremely important. And from the moment that I see, I can immediately update and create new alternatives. And for me, that's the vertical learning. So it doesn't only give you the possibility to acquire new knowledge, new tools, new techniques, but it also gives you the possibility to update your operational system, which is called the vertical development. And the third point that I think Juan already covered, but for me it was really important, which is we all want to come to these trainings and finalize with a good toolkit of tools and techniques that we can go and the next week we are going to apply in the customers. That's good. But the most important thing is that the training is designed so we can really operate by the principles. And once you know the principles, you can design as many interventions, as many tools, as techniques as you want. So it's really infinite. So yes, you finalize the training with a toolkit, with a box, but you have the ability to create your own. And of course, something that I mean, it's not particular to this one specifically. I think everybody might relate to this, but it's really the community and the participation of the different. So it's not only one role that will attend this training, it's really different backgrounds, different roles that when everybody presents the models and the solutions to the complex problems, in this case, you gather insights from the other people, even though if they are really coming from a different background or different experience.
Thank you, Mario. I think that one of the amazing things on the training that happened, and Mario, you can be witness of that, was that some of the participants that were learning the techniques, and to learn the techniques, they applied it to their own problems in their companies, in their organizations, with their teams. Some of them, but while they were learning the technique, they got really valuable insights and they got an action plan for problems that were there for years. And this is an unplanned gift of the training. Is off script because the training is not an intervention. It's planned on how to teach you to intervene and do an application, right? But when you're doing the application, you have to do the application to learn it. And when you do it, you get these insights and you see firsthand how powerful it can be to use these tools. And a lot of the participants left the first day saying like, wow, I think, yeah, I learned about the method, but I think I learned more about myself in this topic than the method itself. And that I think is a magical thing because you can leave the power of Pro.Play, and then you really believe in it when you have to apply it out there.
Yeah, some of the things that I recall from the training was for example when we were asked to do a model, and immediately the head goes to, okay, yes, I want to find. So in my head said, yes, I want to find a specific item. So I go and look for the specific item. But by searching in the box, I come to the realization that the different items gave me at the same time new ideas that I didn't think about that. And I thought that was amazing because we always try to fix or to solve with the way we think. But it's like a vice versa process, you know? It's like what is on the box, it also gives me new ideas that I didn't think about it.
Mario, maybe another question for you, just in terms of your kind of desired application, a little bit more about your situation, the type of clients you're working with. When we bring the figures into the space, and I've got one just symbolizing my life as a musician here, what's available to you in the work that you've done and the work you hope to do with your clients in terms of the figures and this idea of being able to rapidly get into a deeper conversation? What's your excitement and your hopes in terms of how you hope to impact your clients with this process?
Yeah, so at the base, I'm an organizational development consultant or practitioner. I really see this an opportunity really to, especially in the field of complexity, which is something that I'm really attached to my heart. I think this is a perfect opportunity to talk about complexity in a playful way, and challenging the mental models. I also think, my expectation will be to bring this method to organizations that wants to start developing new ways of working. I think there is a whole demand now for changing the paradigm about how did we work in the past, how do we need to work at the moment. So in my field, working with teams, development, leadership, I do also coaching, and I think it's also in one-to-one conversations. I think it's very powerful. My expectation will be to bring these to teams so they can really navigate complexity in a playful way and find new ways of working.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, I'm seeing some questions starting to come into our Q&A box, and I'd really welcome our audience. This is a good time to start posting those questions. One of the first questions is the book available in English? And the good news is, yes, it is. I'm really thrilled because I've been given the opportunity to do the foreword of the English edition. And so you must get a copy for that. And also, I really like your approach, Juan, around wanting to make it accessible, right? So how much is the book and where do they get the book?
Yes, I think that one of the things that I have been working for these 20 years is the democratization of creativity and innovation, to make it as available as possible for as many people as possible. And I think that, Mark, we share that mission with different tools. And we have been doing that in many countries. I'm lucky to have been able to work in more than 20 countries in 5 continents. And I think that what the aim of the book is to engage professional curiosity around play to solve complex problems, because I think that we live in a world where everything is more and more complex and it's very hard to make sense of it. So when you get a simple tool that can help you solve complex problems, and by simple, I don't mean easy. I mean, it's simple. You have a clear pathway to solve a problem. I think that is worth sharing, because the world is full of problems. We have personal problems, we have professional problems, we have environmental problems. So we have the pandemic. So we have a lot of things. The first thing that I did when the pandemic hit was to build a model of what the impact of the pandemic was in different areas, on the medicine and education and business. And I shared that in a video, but I didn't do that just to show the methodology. I did it to make sense of what was happening and to get an understanding of how it was going to impact me, my family, the education of my kids, the organization that I run. So I did that to make sense of the world and to get new ideas. And I got to new ideas. And I'm happy to say that Actitud Creativa lived through a pandemic, and we didn't have to fire a single person. We actually had to hire people. And that is due to some of the solutions that we got from Pro.Play, among other things, and the incredible efforts that other people did. So when I read the examples that are in the book, from people from medicine, from brand and marketing, from coaching, actor coaching, and so you read all these wonderful examples and you say that really the potential of this method is unlimited. And I want everybody to be able to access that potential. So they can pre-book their book right now. I think that it's Pro.Play.com. There is a digital version and there is a physical version, and there is also a bundle there. So yes. If you did sign up for training, do not buy the book, because you will get a digital version of the book that is included with the training. So the training includes all the materials, your certificate, the only certificate that is given by an official partner, and this is important. We are the only official partner for PLAYMOBIL for a method. And also, you are giving a copy of the book and your starter kit.
I'm just fielding here that people were keen to get your autograph, even if they're doing the training in a couple of weeks. And Sabine was looking for the English information. If you go to ProPlayMethod.com, you'll be able to find out a lot more information that will also take you to the book resources where you can order that. And it's a great website. I love the way it's taking us into the world of Pro.Play visually. I'm a visual learner myself. So it's easy on the eyes, but most of all, it really takes you straight to the impact and the way it's been designed for purpose in play. I think that's really great.
I think that also, so Daniel here asked a question that is very interesting, right? The question is, serious play applied to business generally has scientific basis. Do you think the mix of collaboration and play at the heart of Pro.Play is particularly fitting in this post-pandemic time? I think it's a wonderful question. Let me give you an example of a real life thing we did as a building up. I don't know if it's an answer. I think it's a building upon what Daniel shared. We had, after the pandemic, we were striving to do something physically, not because we don't like the digital world. We have been working digitally in Actitud Creativa for almost 11 years. And we launched our first online training, I think in 2011, 2012, something like that. So we love the digital medium. But after 1.5 years of not doing any workshop with people in the room, we were really missing it. So we were thrilled when one of our clients asked us to do a training with them, not a training, but a facilitation. And we proposed Pro.Play as the method, and they say yes, happily. And the goal of the session it had two goals. This is the board of directors of a pharmaceutical company, and they were planning their strategy for the post-pandemic era. And also they were meeting after 1.5 years, and there were changes in the team after 1.5 years. So half of the purpose was let's build a strategy, but half of the purpose is let's make a team out of these people that have never met in person, and they have to build the strategy and drive it through the company. And it was, I think, the most impactful thing was to connect and get to know other people through play. This mix of collaboration and play, it's so inherent to humans to know and meet other people. If you get 2 or 3 kids in a room, they won't start like, okay, let's do a round and say who we are and then what you do and what you like to play. They don't introduce themselves that way. They start playing and they get to know each other by playing, and they get to know each other much better than sometimes we get to know by asking direct questions. So when you see a team that get together and get to know more of each other by playing, you see how powerful it is in a post-pandemic era to generate these human connections in the most intuitive and deep way we know, that is by playing. So that is a wonderful question, Daniel. Thank you for sharing it.
Absolutely, thank you for that. And also, I think Sabine is sharing, she's been using and busy working with the PLAYMOBIL Pro. And if you need anybody to help facilitate in French, which I think is for us at Actitud Creativa, it's very topical because it's a hot topic. We are totally driven to expand creativity globally. Fun, can you speak a little bit into what's been going on with the Spanish and the Portuguese and where else we might go?
Yeah, the reason why we're sharing what Sabine is sending us is because this is an open and growing community. We're not a closed-door community that only if you have been training or you're certified, people come here and we have some secrets that we don't want anybody to know. It's the other way around. We want to share all our secrets so everybody can build upon what we're doing, and then we can ever expand this.
We really are very grateful for each and every one of you for joining us today. We hope that you are inspired somehow, that you will consider joining us on this journey, whether it be with Pro.Play or any of our other trainings on the CCP. Juan, I'll hand over to you for closing words, my friend, and I just want to say thank you very much for joining us today.
So we want to have an open conversation with each and every one of you to see how to expand and build upon this amazing method that is already generating a big impact on professionals and organizations. And it's just born. So the future is really bright for Pro.Play and PLAYMOBIL Pro.